This is not just a crisis. This is an absolute psychological war zone, and Eva Thomas is trapped right in the deadly crossfire of her parents' toxicity. Everything just changed. We thought the physical danger was over, but the mental torture has only just. Eva Thomas was simply trying to follow the doctor's. She was trying to perform her physical therapy exercises exactly as her father, Ted Richardson, had so lovingly advised. But the sterile, cold environment of the hospital gym quickly morphed into a chamber of absolute horrors. The rhythmic, mechanical whirring of the treadmills, the heavy, metallic clanking of the weight machines, the oppressive hum of the ventilation system. To a normal person, these are just the sounds of a workout. But to Eva, these sounds twisted and distorted into the monstrous, deafening, demonic roar of the F5 tornado that nearly wiped Fairmont Crest off the map. Can you even begin to imagine the visceral terror? In a split second, Ava was no longer in a safe, brightly lit gymnasium. Her traumatized mind violently dragged her back to that suffocating, pitch-black stairwell at the country club. She was back in the dust, the debris, the choking panic. She could feel the crushing weight of the building around her. She could taste the blood she coughed up onto Kat. The sheer, paralyzing realization that her life was slipping away in the dark. The gym equipment wasn't just noisy, it was the sound of impending doom. Eva suffered a massive, crippling panic attack, collapsing under the invisible weight of her own shattered psyche. This was not about physical pain. Her liver transplant is healing, thanks to Kat's miraculous sacrifice, but Eva's mind is bleeding out. She fell to the floor in absolute hysterics, trembling, gasping for air, completely consumed by the darkest shadows of post-traumatic stress disorder. Ted Richardson, ever the fiercely protective father, rushed to his daughter's side. He wrapped his arms around his terrified girl, desperately trying to anchor her back to reality. He tried to soothe her, trying to remind her that she is safe, that the storm is over, and that the massive, jagged scar across her abdomen is nothing more than a beautiful testament to her miraculous survival. But Eva could not be comforted. Through her agonizing sobs, she screamed a truth that absolutely shattered Ted's heart into a million pieces. She looked at her father with eyes full of absolute despair and confessed that she cannot bear to look in the mirror. She does not see a survivor. She called her surgical wound the mark of death. Let that sink in. The mark of death. Every single time she looks at her own flesh, she is violently reminded of how incredibly fragile her existence is. She sees the grim reaper staring back at her. The scar is a constant, inescapable billboard advertising her own mortality. Ted, in that heartbreaking, gut-wrenching moment, realized the terrifying magnitude of the situation. His daughter's PTSD is infinitely more severe than anyone could have ever predicted. The scar is merely a physical scapegoat for a profound existential terror that is eating her alive from the inside out. She is hiding from the paralyzing fear of death, and she is projecting all of that horror onto her own body. Ted knew right then and there that Eva needed intense, immediate psychological intervention. He knew her soul needed saving before anything else. But just when he thought this broken girl might get the gentle psychiatric care she so desperately needs, the ultimate hurricane of toxicity blows through the hospital doors. Enter Leslie Thomas. Oh, you guys know Leslie. The woman who measures human worth entirely by physical perfection and social. What does a mother do when she sees her child's soul fractured into pieces? Does she offer a warm embrace? Does she validate her daughter's trauma? Absolutely not. Leslie goes full-blown, unapologetic, savage. Leslie took one look at Eva's distress and decided that the only cure for a shattered mind is a sharp scalpel. I am not kidding. Leslie vehemently demanded that they immediately track down an underground, off-the-books plastic surgeon to slice Eva open and erase the scar right this second. This is absolute lunacy. Leslie is so blinded by her own superficial, narcissistic obsession with appearances that she genuinely believes a secret cosmetic procedure will magically cure severe PTSD. She wants to erase the visual evidence of the trauma simply because she, Leslie, cannot stomach the imperfection of her own offspring. This is war. The hospital corridors literally shook with the magnitude of the explosive confrontation that erupted between Ted and Leslie. Ted Richardson was absolutely not having it. He fiercely, aggressively opposed this barbaric, reckless idea. He stood his ground like a warrior protecting his wounded child, screaming that Eva needs deep, professional psychological therapy before anyone even thinks about bringing a knife near her fragile body. He sees a traumatized girl crying out for mental help. Leslie only sees a defective doll that needs a quick cosmetic fix to look pretty again. The screaming match was brutal. It was savage. It was a total betrayal of what a unified parental front should look like in a moment of dire medical crisis. Ted looked Leslie dead in the eye and delivered a devastating, scorching reality check. He warned her, with venom in his voice, that she is violently projecting her own toxic, sickening obsession with perfection onto their highly vulnerable daughter. He called her out for her twisted vanity, accusing her of making Eva feel completely detached from her own body. Ted knows that Leslie's relentless pressure is the exact poison that is making Eva feel utterly disgusted with herself. And where does this leave poor, traumatized Eva? Trapped in the absolute worst place imaginable. Right in the dead center of this toxic, radioactive war zone. While her parents viciously tore each other apart right in front of her, Eva was left completely isolated in her agony. Instead of feeling supported, she felt like a broken object. A defective piece of merchandise that her mother wanted to send to a shady back alley mechanic for immediate repairs. Can you even imagine the psychological damage of hearing your own mother imply that your survival scar is so hideous it requires immediate, dangerous underground surgery to fix? This is the ultimate betrayal of a mother's love. Leslie is supposed to be Eva's safe harbor, but instead, she is the storm that is drowning her. Eva's self-disgust is multiplying by the second. We already know she is pushing her devoted boyfriend Isaiah away because she cannot bear for him to look at her scarred flesh. She cringes when he tries to show her affection. And now, her own mother is validating every single one of those dark, twisted insecurities. Leslie is essentially screaming to the world, "Yes, my daughter is ruined, and we must hide her shame at all costs." Ted is fighting a desperate, uphill battle against Leslie's overwhelming, suffocating toxicity. He knows that if Eva goes under the knife right now, especially with some unvetted secret surgeon, it could literally destroy her. Not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. The PTSD is a ticking time bomb inside Eva's mind. The sound of the gym equipment was just the trigger. The real explosion is happening in her heart, and Leslie is just pouring gasoline on the fire. Think about the deep, complicated history here. Eva only has that liver because Kat Richardson, the sister who despised her, put her own life on the line. That scar is a literal, physical map of family trauma, of unimaginable sacrifice, and of near-death horror. Erasing the scar with a quick nip tuck won't erase the fact that she almost died coughing up blood in a dark stairwell. It won't erase the sheer panic of the tornado. Ted knows this. Dr. Carlton Fitzgerald knows this. Why is Leslie so willfully, dangerously blind to the truth? Because Leslie Thomas only cares about the surface. She is a master manipulator of appearances who lost her own home in the tornado and is now desperately trying to control the only thing she thinks she can, her daughter's physical perfection. She is willing to risk her daughter's life with an underground butcher just to maintain the illusion of the flawless, unblemished child. It is sickening. It is vile. It is the absolute peak of narcissistic parenting, and it is pushing Eva closer and closer to the edge. The tension is reaching an absolute, explosive, boiling point. Every single second that Eva spends listening to her parents wage a bitter, vicious war over her body, she slips further into the dark, inescapable abyss of her trauma. She feels alienated from her own flesh, disconnected. She is a stranger in her own skin, and this horrific hospital brawl is only reinforcing her tragic belief that she is unlovable and broken in her current state. Let us not forget how this impacts the broader family dynamics. Ted is already navigating a highly complex new romance with Shanice Johnson and dealing with Kat's own erratic, impulsive behaviors after her surgery. He is being stretched to his absolute limits as a father. Seeing Leslie revert to her most manipulative, superficial self after she promised God she would change is a massive slap in the face. Ted is realizing that Leslie's promises of redemption were completely hollow. She hasn't changed. She is exactly the same ruthless, image-obsessed woman who made his life a living hell years ago, and now she is actively destroying their daughter's mental health to serve her own twisted ego. What is going to happen next? Will Eva completely shut down and push everyone, including Isaiah and Ted, out of her life forever? Will Leslie's toxic poison completely drown out the voices of reason? If Leslie gets her way, Eva might do something incredibly reckless. She might sneak off and submit herself to this dangerous secret surgery, risking the very life that Kat sacrificed so much to save. The stakes are literally life and death. This storyline is absolutely ripping our hearts out and stomping on them. The emotional stakes have never been higher in Fairmont Crest. We are watching a young woman's mind completely unravel while her parents wage a bitter, savage war over the pieces. Will Ted be able to save Eva from Leslie's toxic vanity? Or will Leslie's dangerous obsession push Eva over the edge into a fatal, irreversible mistake? Do not miss what happens next, because the fallout from this hospital war is going to shake the entire Dupree and Richardson families to their absolute core. Drop your thoughts in the comments below, hit that subscribe button, and stay tuned for more explosive updates.